Welcome back, everybody. Tom and Frenchie still here for round number 2 of Pioneer Tuesday, and we didn't have much of a break between those rounds, did we?
Well, when you have two decks that are just eking out incremental advantage the entire time, it's going to go to time even just for 2 games.
Oh yeah, definitely. Although that was round number 1, and now we're going to move on to round number 2 because we have 2 very, very interesting decks, and one of them really tickles little Tom's fancy.
Yeah, and happens to be playing the 2 best colors in Magic, in my opinion. It looks like we have a frozen camera, so we might have to do some a little bit of fudging here. But yeah, just quickly, we have Magda Treasures, one of Brandon Chen's specialty decks, really trying to do a lot of funky things with tapping down dwarves and doing some fun things. And on Eric Sanchez's side, we have a Golgari Obliterator deck. And I mean, this is I think the quick and dirty here is our goal is to use fight spells in tandem with Phyrexian Obliterator and force you to sacrifice all your stuff.
Oh, yes. Oh, I can't wait for Brandon to play a single creature, which he's already gone and done. Magda the Horde Master has hit the battlefield, and looks like that Brandon is going to be attempting to cause some crimes. I know that Scribbling Claws is one of Brandon's favorite cards out of this deck because it just targets a graveyard, causes some crimes, allows you to make some treasures to make some dragons later on, but that's going to be met by the format's premier removal spell in Fatal Push. But it's just a quick follow-up from an Urbrask Forge here from Brandon Chen. Standard All-Star.
Standard All-Star, Pioneer All-Star, this card is just kind of insane. It just consistently does so much work. Puts a very quick clock on your opponent with an ever-growing threat that is never up on your turn. It's a token. It keeps being generated over and over again, so removal's kind of tragically bad, but we have a Glissa coming in, which is a very good blocker for an Urbrask's Forge.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Glissa Sunslayer coming down is just a powerhouse of a card. And if you ever wind up getting on the offensive with this card, it's also a great card advantage engine. And if there's any sort of artifacts or anything that are going to, enchantments that are going to be on the battlefield from Brandon's side, it's going to gobble those up as well.
But we have everyone's favorite claws coming in. So, those who are unaware of why this card is so good, it basically just always gives you a crime to be able to commit. And and in particular, it lets you target an opponent to exile a card from their graveyard. So because it's targeting your opponent, 1, you're committing a crime, and 2, that opponent can have no cards in their graveyard, and it's still committing a crime. It's a very powerful free interaction. I also have a playset of these because I've been dabbling with crimes decks for a while, but I've just been focused on some other brews at the moment. But this card's just really funky and really fun.
Dang, and now we're just going to want to... Oh, this is the...
Legion Extruder.
Yeah, Legion Extruder, the Oath of Chandra, but it's an artifact. So just coming down, just doming Eric for 2 in the face, and this is just some powerful artifact synergies coming in from Brandon's deck.
Yeah, 2 damage, sack another artifact, make a 3/3, which then is also an artifact, so you can make another 3/3 with it. It's just good. It's just good, good value engine, and
seems like a great way to make those Urbrask tokens stick around.
Yeah, I forget, is the Urbrask's Forge tokens, are they artifacts or are they just creatures?
They're Phyrexians. I don't know if they're Phyrexian artifacts or not.
Yeah. So let's...
It looks like they are Phyrexian horrors, so they're not artifacts, unfortunately. So we can't actually make value out of these tokens that will be coming down. However, we can turn any number of our treasures or anything into those things.
Yeah, and I like this play from Eric. We're actually attacking with Glissa to remove counters off of the Forge.
Oh, you can't destroy artifacts, but you can remove counters from the Forge, so that's going to shrink those Phyrexians coming in very, very small. And then we just kind of see a Pioneer and Standard Premier big threat thrown down. Frenchie, why don't you tell me about Archfiend of the Dross here?
All right, well, especially since we are in a non-black deck at this moment, we are in a pretty safe spot here to be able to just slam the Archfiend down and honestly punish the Forge extensively, because Forge is not a May ability, it's a must.
Yeah.
And it's always sacrificing a token at the end of turn, so right now, especially if we're able to just continue to pull off the counters from the by attacking with Glissa, on the Urbrask Forge, we're just going to be making a 1/1 that's going to sacrifice on end of turn and drain you for 2. But at least we're drawing a card every time with this Caretaker's Talent.
Yeah, so we all until Glissa attacks and destroys an enchantment instead, and
Also true.
delays for a turn and getting rid of that for the Phyrexian token coming in being stronger. But Caretaker's Talent, like you mentioned, whenever a token is going to enter, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn, and as we saw from the Magda and everything else that Brandon's deck is going to be utilizing, treasures, all sorts of tokens are going to be coming in here.
Yeah, and it looks like Brandon is going to be dealing with Glissa with a Get Lost, so now we do have a couple maps coming in for Eric. But yeah, this is honestly really, really good. It's a big thorn in Brandon's side that's taken off the board, and yeah, we were able to do that because we had the Springleaf Drum being able to tap the Phyrexian Horror token to pay for it. And we are passing over to Eric's turn. The Archfiend has gone down an oil counter, so now we have 3 more turns of it being alive before we unfortunately
lose the game.
Yeah, yeah. And right now, I'm actually. It's a really interesting time to be playing Archfiend of the Dross and Pioneer because it's actually a very high alert card because the Demons deck has just been very, very impactful right now. As we are seeing a Thoughtseize is going to take a Caretaker's Talent and drain Eric for 2. But yeah, because Archfiend is such an on alert card, a lot of folks are packing like 1 or 2 Heartless Acts in their deck if they're playing black. So it's we're in a really weird push-pull metagame kind of situation. I'm running a Heartless Act in my own deck with Archfiend of the Dross because I'm trying to kill my opponents and just kill them. There's a lot of small interesting things going on here. And yeah, it looks like we are slamming second Glissa. Can't get rid of her that easily.
No, and second Glissa, we did wind up seeing Brandon using the Get Lost to target the Glissa specifically over the Archfiend of the Dross. So this means that this Archfiend is not only going to be dealing 6 this turn, but definitely 2 from this mandatory Phyrexian sacrifice as we talked about before. So now Brandon, who was empty-handed, is really going to be looking for something. I mean, the Scrabbling Claws are in the graveyard, so it's not going to be able to be sacrificed here. Are we going to actually start popping tokens in order to fountain port to find things? Or?
Yeah, I think that's what's going on. So we're going to tap down the Phyrexian Horror token with the drum, and then using that mana to sack it to the fountain port, and we are scooping it up because we are not finding any action, and we are just dead on the crackback.
All right, so Brandon is going to wind up falling here. Did not really find anything for his deck to actually kind of pop off with in that one, and Eric Sanchez obliterates Brandon without the namesake card from their deck, which makes me both happy and sad at the same time.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if we got any additional deck lists, but it looks like we didn't. So seeing that this Magda Treasures deck, I believe before it was possibly in green, trying to use the Crimes package along with what is it? The Freeze Strider Lookout. Yeah, we now have a White Splash because we're going to be trying to do the Caretaker's package with it. I know Brandon's been trying to figure out the right shelf for being able to use this Magda Treasure token generation package. So, yeah, just trying to figure things out. It looks like we are adjusting a few things on the stream right now. Oh.
Yeah, so just making sure that the cameras are all lined up. It looks like the players, they didn't listen to their parents. They decided that slouching was the way to go. So our cameras are a little bit ill-adjusted. So we're trying to just fix that up a little bit. But yeah, as you mentioned, like this Crimes deck that Brandon has been building over the course of seemingly 2 or 3 months at this point.
I think ever since Outlaws.
Yeah, pretty much. Ever since like Magda came into existence, he got like custom treasure tokens and everything made for this deck. So it's really kind of been his baby. And as you mentioned, switching into white, Caretaker's Talent giving it card advantage for that it was missing when it was in the Rakdos or the other color combinations that he was running previously means that now out of the sideboard, you also wind up having a couple of extra options. I mean, we wind up seeing Get Lost being a very prominent card here coming out from Brandon previously. If you now have this kind of tokens that are creature sub-theme and not just treasures, I also wouldn't be surprised to see, as we were seeing from the Spirits deck, things like Wedding Announcement that all of a sudden you can just go wide with the deck rather than going for the treasure combo angle of everything.
Yeah, it just being able to have multiple different game plans and different win conditions in one very succinct deck that's just all kind of synergizing with itself. It seems like the deck has become kind of more of a unique spin on a Caretaker's Talent deck. which is honestly pretty spicy. Big fan of it. It's Caretaker's Talent is a very good, powerful, grindy archetype, but adding a bit of spice with the Magdas, being able to create flyers, which is one of the things the deck doesn't do the best. Having those flyers is going to be able to help you hopefully close when you have opponents with also gummed up boards, or being able to block ground creatures and all this other stuff. And yeah, pretty solid here. On the flip side, Eric's Golgari Obliterator deck. This is the first time we've ever seen it, and yeah, we saw the other side of the deck, which is just frankly a really solid, aggressive Golgari midrange deck.
Yep.
Thoughtseize, Fatal Push, Glissa, Archfiend, all that good stuff, and hopefully we do see some Phyrexian Obliterators and maybe a Bushwhacker too.
Yeah, it was the greatest hits of the Golgari decks from the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s, basically kind of coming in as I know if from Eric's side, if this were something that I would be running, okay, we just see Tail Swipe in Eric Sanchez's hand, so there's our fight effect that we have for our Obliterator.
Also a Bloodletter of Aklizots, which is
that's interesting.
That's very fun.
Are we slashing, swiping, obliterating, and bopping it, and I mean twisting it, and whatever else that toy could potentially put out?
Who knows? But I think most of all, Eric had no lands in that hand. So it was
definitely
a quick ship. But it seems like Brandon is assigning a keep here. So now we're just going to see if Eric can find a better 6 and keep moving forward. I'm just realizing both players have what looks like a very similar shade of red for their sleeves. So
I think we had a very similar shade of blue in the last game as well, which got me worried when we started kind of having those giant stacks of exile things. But hopefully all the players have realized that their cards were different colors when it comes to the actual deck that was being built in. Ooh, Eric Sanchez on the draw, going down to 5 here.
Yeah, and that was a 1-lander this time. 1 land is better than none, but honestly, with a deck that's trying to play a black spell,
yeah, you
hard.
Need a lot. Yeah, if the Obliterator is in there, you want one of those lands to be an Urborg, or you need to have like dual land swamp.
Yeah, I'm assuming just because it looks like the green is probably a lighter splash. It does. I only really see the fight spells being green as low drops, and all the other green spells we've seen so far have been high drops. I'm assuming that Eric probably is just running 14 duels and then just a bunch of black sources otherwise to be able to hit the pip requirements to be able to cast Obliterator on 4. And outside of maybe that one Beseiju, which it looks like he's debating putting to the bottom.
I'm wondering too if there's like sideboard cards that are majority green coming out from Eric's list as well.
Very true.
Terrace Under, Abrupt Decay, things that come to mind that are very powerful green utility sideboard cards. Back to Nature if you're going to be playing against some of the enigmatic decks. But most importantly, the fact that like Abrupt Decay and Terrace Under could be in there basically kills everything Brandon's deck is doing besides the namesake Magda.
Yeah, and I mean, mind you, it also kills the Magdas. Magdas are less than 3 mana value, and they can also be exiled to the kicker cost of Terrace Under. I'm personally a huge proponent of Terrace Under. The card's insanely powerful because it can hit anything in a pinch, but it always hits what you need to when you need to. But we also have a Springleaf Drum coming out right away.
I'm going to pull that one up all the time just because I didn't realize what artwork that was in game number 1 until about halfway through. So I'm sure everybody else at home is also just as confused as I was.
Yeah, as a RCQ grinder during Pioneer season, I got very familiar with this card. But we also have a Reckoner Bakebuster coming out for Brandon Chen here. Good old classic card draw engine. Very, very powerful. Honestly, pretty good. I believe Magda's a 3 power creature, so curving into a Magda here will be able to let us get in for 4. We also have, again, the card draw for the mid to late game to be able to hopefully continue to refuel our hand, all that fun stuff, and yeah.
We see a little bit of an awkward dyssynergy between the mulligans and the mana base coming out here from Eric Sanchez's deck, as this is going to be a tapped castle locked lane. As there's that Magda, and I'm guessing Magda's only a 2 power creature, otherwise we probably would have seen a crew and an attack there.
Yeah, but it's gonna just tap through the Springleaf Drum for a treasure very soon, and then we'll have 2 mana floating. Brandon just kind of hiding the 2 mana that he's able to put out. So I believe this one is actually the old school Magda, the Brazen Outlaw. This is just the fun Outlaws printing from the Secret Lair from a while ago.
Yeah, I was trying. Oh, there it is. There's the Secret Lair drop version. All right, thank you, Scryfall. There we go. Magda doing a very good D&D barbarian cosplay there.
Oh yeah, it's pretty spicy. We got our good old dragon friend behind us too. Looks like we have a Thoughtseize coming in, so this will be really nice to be able to get into Brandon's hand and hopefully see what we're cooking with. And oh boy,
Brandon
Caretaker's
needs a
Talent,
land.
2 removal spells, Scrabbling Claws, and is that a what is it? The knockout blow?
I think that might have been it. It got put in the glare, unfortunately. The one area of our play area that sometimes gets a glare is where that one wound up going. But I wouldn't be surprised. Knockout blow against a black-based meta game. You mentioned you had the Rakdos Demons deck. We have multiple decks that are constantly packing black creatures in them. So I wouldn't be surprised if Knockout Blow was the card that we wound up seeing there from Brandon's side, but just handful of nothing but removal. And yeah, there we see Eric also reading the card very quickly.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Knockout Blow deals specifically 4 damage to a tapped creature, so hopefully we're not using that on any Obliterators.
Yeah, that'd be pretty powerful. And actually, Knockout Blow reduces on a red creature. Not a black creature. I was thinking of a different 1 mana white removal spell. But yeah, most importantly, 4 damage against Archfiend of the Dross, Obliterator. I guess we're just really looking for ways to answer this Glissa.
Yeah, I mean, Glissa kind of turns off a lot of the deck. Interestingly enough, one cheeky play you can do with Glissa, as a big fan of her in Standard and possibly trying her in Pioneer, what Glissa can do here is if she's able to get in combat and connect, she can actually take off the last counter on the Bankbuster, and you don't get the final ability off of it to make a pilot and a treasure, which is pretty spicy. But yeah, we're just gonna tap down the Scrabbling Claws, get rid of the card, and pass turn. Nothing big here. Looks like both players have stumbled a bit on land. I haven't seen Eric's 4th land drop, but we are coming up on it.
Eric's got a slasher.
Yeah,
And
this might be instead of Golgari Obliterator, it might be Golgari Slasher.
I'm still calling it Obliterator. We got a fight spell in there. I know there's one hiding in there somewhere. I don't care if he sideboarded it out. It's probably somewhere in there. Most importantly, though, I was thinking, okay, this Scrabbling Claws, we did it immediately, which means we're not going to be able to cause a crime with nothing in our opponent's graveyard. But I just realized this Scrabbling Claws is probably very good against the unstoppable Slasher.
Yeah, the only way it can be stopped is if it's exiled in the graveyard before it can come back.
Yeah, and apparently
Scrabbling Claws very good at that.
Yeah, I guess those Scrabbling Claws are what the Slasher has on their other hand over there.
Yeah, but it looks like for now we are going to be tapping. Oh, it looks like players are just confirming what they would like to do. And it looks like we are going to be trying to tap the Bankbuster by tapping down Magda with the Springleaf Drum, and we're just confirming because how mana abilities work, there is no window to respond here. So once Brandon declares that's the action to take, it will happen.
Yeah, so cannot respond to the activated ability that produces mono as a mono ability. So I do believe that Eric was just kind of wondering about this in case there is some sort of fight spell or something in their hand that they can try to take out the Magda with and prevent that from happening. With only 1 mana available, I don't think there's Nature's Claim in this format. That's a modern card. So
I wish there was Nature's Claim in the format. What a card. But yeah, that makes 3 treasures and a pilot, and unfortunately we don't have a Caretaker's Talent out because it would have really liked to see at least one of those tokens.
Oh yeah. So looks like we are going to wind up just having a Bankbuster with a pilot, so that can actually start crashing in if we so choose. However, there is a first striking Death Touch Glissa and a 2/3 normal Death Touching Unstoppable Slasher on the side of Eric Sanchez. So a very powerful wall from the deck that namesake wants to obliterate things.
Yeah, it might also just be Golgari Death Touch.
That could be it too. Maybe Obliterator is not literal, and I'm just getting really excited.
I mean, I would love to see the Phyrexian Obliterator come out too, don't worry. But right now, we are finding our 4th land. We have a Mutavault coming out from Brandon. And let's see where we're ending up taking this. We are going to tap down the Magda to the Springleaf Drum again to make a treasure and float a mana. And we have
A lot of treasures.
a lot of treasure.
Brandon Chen may want to buy a Scrooge McDuck costume for Halloween.
Halloween, Christmas, New Year's.
Everything. Why not?
All that fun stuff.
Activating the Springleaf Drum.
And yeah, so I'm interested to see where we're taking this. We're tapping a reasonable amount of mana here, and we're adding some counters onto both the Mutavault and we're gonna start with Magda. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, we're getting the ability from Magda where we're making enough treasures that we can sacrifice 5 of them, find an artifact or a dragon card, and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. I'm assuming this is going to be a portal to Phyrexia coming out from Brandon's deck. That was what he used to find in his older versions. Does he have it in his hand?
I would hope not, because that would be a really awkward set of events.
Did he sideboard it out?
That would also be an awkward set of events.
Oh, okay, there it is. Portal to Phyrexia. All right. That part of the deck hasn't changed.
Yeah, so this is a pretty good way to just get rid of everything, and in particular, we can also use some of our mana to sacrifice the Scrapping Claws to specifically take the Slasher out of the graveyard too, and make sure that on our next turn, we can bring back a Glissa, which is going to be a Phyrexian. All right, and we do have a tail swipe again. Death touch bite spell, going to be attempting to kill the Magda. Looks like that resolves as well. And it looks like this? It looks like the Slasher was allowed to go to the graveyard. We didn't decide to exile it with the Scrabbing Claws.
Just a little bit of a misstep there from Brandon's side. It looks like he's getting pretty excited. He's got a portal to Phyrexia that could be bringing back a Glissa or something.
It may also not need to do so because it is tapped down to 2 counters. And yeah, we have an Urbrask Forge coming in, so we're going to start to assemble our clock again. And now that we have the Glissa out of the way, that Forge is just going to be a lot of counters real quick. We're going down to 13 on Eric's side, and yeah, looks like Brandon has possibly turned the corner. It'll be interesting to see if Brandon can put up a new wall of creatures to get in the way of all of these various different other creatures.
So we are going to wind up having a Boseiju being cast down on the portal to Phyrexia. So we're not going to see Glissa Sunslayer coming back anytime soon as a Phyrexian. Instead, we're just going to wind up having Brandon searching for a Sacred Foundry. And now it's kind of on Eric to try to come back from this point in the battle. I mean, we have a 4/4 Reckoner Bankbuster. We'll have a 2/1 not Elemental, the Phyrexian token swinging in. And then we're still potentially going to have whatever Brandon has in hand underneath there. There's a plethora of removal, 2 Get Lost, a Knockout Blow, something else in the top of the screen that I can't quite make out right now. But
I think it's a second Knockout Blow.
All right, so just in case the first punch wasn't enough, the second one will be there. So you hit him with the right, you hit him with the left, and it looks like Brandon's just going to start exiling things away from Eric's hand and just drawing to find some gas.
Makes sense here. Trying to make sure that we are able to get over the finish line before the Slasher gets turned online. And I think we just have a Singleton Fatal Push in hand, which honestly is not the worst answer to a Bankbuster once it gets activated. Easy kill because it's a 2-mana creature, and that is, I believe, a Voltaic Fault?
That is going to be something that we need to use Scryfall Bot for, because I have no idea what that Voltaic Fault will do, but if it's in Brandon's deck, I'm assuming it has some sort of artifact synergies in here.
Yes, so it is a slight, I don't remember the exact name of the card, but it is a slightly cheaper Field of Ruin effect that only costs 1 mana to activate, but instead of giving you a land as well, it makes a treasure, which is not terrible.
That's what that one is. Okay.
And
Volatile Fault, that's what it is.
yeah, so we'll go ahead and show it to you. Yeah,
That's
destroy target non-basic land, you get a treasure, all that fun stuff. Pretty solid in a deck that cares about treasures and making tokens, but not as impactful for other decks that just want to still have the basic land come in. So who knows? But yeah,
we had a pretty powerful swing there. It was a swing for 6 altogether, and then the Reckoner Bankbuster wound up dying as well. The Unstoppable looks like there was a block, or the Fatal Push on the Reckoner Bankbuster. Eric down to 7, passes the turn, has 1 card, I think another Tail Swipe in hand. This could be used to Death Touch something?
Yeah, and it looks like we have 3, 2, 1 coming through. Tail Swipe, going after the Mutavault makes sense here because the token's just going to come back anyway. And we are going to get Lost the Creature. Great way to get blown out. And now it comes back again with 2 more counters. No big deal. And
now we get 2 maps.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the maps are quite a non-bow with the Unstoppable Slasher because it's any counter. So if you accidentally put a +1/+1 counter on it, it ain't coming back.
No. Brandon's side of the battlefield has shrunk somewhat considerably. I mean, we still have a pilot, but we also have Eric all the way down to 1, and that's just not going to be enough there. Eric Sanchez going to fall. Brandon Chen with the Magda Treasures deck going to be coming up big with that Portal to Phyrexia, wiping the board, buying enough time for just those small little tokens to plow on through.
Yeah, and we got a game 3 on our hands between these two spicy brews that are doing some pretty fun and interesting stuff here. And yeah, gosh, as a person who has been a big fan of, obviously, the Unstoppable Slasher, you've seen what I've been trying to do with demons, as well as Glissa and all that stuff, just seeing kind of the very interesting and thoughtful interactions that Eric has been bringing in with this deck, how a lot of these pieces interact with each other. One of my favorite things to do is also Glissa can remove the counters off of the Slasher, which is also pretty fun. If he has Heartless Acts in his deck, he can also remove counters with the Heartless Act on the Slasher, so you can untap it quicker than your opponent is prepared for, which is pretty fun.
That's pretty solid. That's a good synergy.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting little things that you can do with all of these different cards. And again, you have so many Death Touchers that these fight and bite spells are always just removal spells, as long as, you know, you're not 2-for-1, which it seemed like we did unfortunately kind of have to walk into a 2-for-1 pretty quickly because Brandon had 4 removal spells revealed.
Oh yeah, there is like just nothing but removal spells in Brandon's hand, and I mean, so if I'm a coach in Eric's corner, I mean, okay, let's say we're both coaches in Eric's corner really quickly, because I'm offering terrible advice and you're offering the good advice. I'm telling Eric to play the Obliterators. What is the actual advice that Eric is on the play?
So I do think the Obliterator is a good call here. We have so many, we do have a lot of permanents from the Magda Treasures deck.
That's what I'm telling him.
Yeah,
it's great play.
Yeah, if we are able to get our engine online for Brandon quick enough, the Obliterator is going to sacrifice 4 treasure tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Not great. Obviously, it's going to slow down the treasure engine, but I mean, you're not getting rid of the lands, which I think is the big thing you want to get rid of here.
Yeah, we did want to see Brandon in that game also being stuck on 2 lands, but with a Resolve, Magda was able to just fight through it by making treasure tokens.
Yeah, because we got all the way up to 5 treasures. It looked like Brandon was definitely preferring to hold on to the treasures to try and get the portal to Phyrexia instead of actually using it to cash in and cast some spells. But we did find our lands, and we were able to kind of close it out. No big deal. Looks like our players are presenting cuts, and we are good to get back into this game. Mulligans being set up here, and I guess we are going to shuffle that hand.
We have 1 land in hand.
Yeah, we know we have a Naiganjo in hand. I guess Eric did not see it, so
I think Eric was looking, but looks like Brandon's going to be shipping that one back anyway.
Yeah, and I think I see 2 lands, at least 2 lands, a bunch of fight spells, but no creatures. So, bit of an awkward hand from Eric, but it may be a keeper. It sounds like it is, because Brandon already decided to take a mulligan, and Brandon's holding onto his cards.
Yeah, so it looks like, I mean, we have Tail Swipe, we have Terrace Under coming in from the sideboard, it looks like.
We have Tail Swipe. Oh, okay, at least we have a Restless Cottage in hand, so we have a creature land. Mind you, also commits a crime.
It does commit a crime. If there's Caravac coming in from Eric's side, that commits a crime.
Ooh, oh god. I'm gonna need to ask him for his deck list later, because these are all cards I've been wanting to brew around for so long, and it seems like everything's kind of coming together. And get lost, Magda, get lost, Reckoner, Bankbuster, land.
Yeah, so Brandon has a little bit of redundancy here and those double get lost, but if Eric is very creature light, then this Magda with the Reckoner Bankbuster in hand, all face up, this kind of seems like an easy target, unless there's a removal spell, which I'm not actually seeing in Eric's hand. The only things he can use as removal spells require creatures.
Yeah, I think I saw 3 Tail Swipes, actually.
That's a lot of tails, so that's 1 too many tails.
Only 1? I thought it would be 2.
No. No, two tails is fine.
Two tails is fine?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Reckoner Bankbuster is going to hit the side of the battlefield for Brandon Chen, passing the turn back on over to Eric. Untapped, his double comes into play. Tap creature lands. Cavern of Souls, very nice addition here, especially if you have Phyrexian Glissa, Phyrexian Archfiend, and Phyrexian Obliterator.
Oh, no, you were right. It was a Terra Sunder, not the third tail swipe. But looks like we possibly third land pass.
This is not the worst hand here. As Eric saw, we had face up Magda, face up Bankbuster, and that was about it from Brandon's side. He answered both of those, and if Brandon can find something off the top of his deck, sure, RNG. Magic is a game of variance.
Yeah, you know, good old Thoughtseize bug. We found our new Magda. We still have those two removal spells being held up, and yeah, Cavern, Tail Swipe, and 2 other lands. Not really the best place to be. So it means that this Magda's gonna get some free swings, hopefully, and now we have Scrapping Claws too.
Causing crimes.
Yep, we're out. Oh man, this was a bit of a risky keep for Eric, really trusting his deck to try and get a creature pretty quickly, but it looks like we haven't been able to.
Yeah, the one downside here is that this Magda is basically uninhibited while attacking, which means that we are going to wind up getting treasures as well, just because it's attacking. So now Brandon has ramped up to 5 mana, but no additional cards in hand after all of this, so just face up with that double get lost.
Yep, and I think we finally found our first creature. It is a Glissa coming on in, probably gonna be traded in for some 2 maps pretty quickly, but hey, we at least played a creature.
Yeah, I mean, we have the Glissa hit the battlefield, so...
And this time, Eric's actually playing pretty smart and waiting for the tail swipe, waiting for the removal spell to cast the tail swipe. So now we are able to get rid of Magda number 2, and we still got our 2 maps.
All right, and most importantly, we are the ones with creature lands on the battlefield if you're on Eric's side here. So that is going to be, we have the Restless Cottage, can activate next turn. We can wind up getting rid of some things in graveyard so that we don't have the crime being enabled from Brandon's Scribbling Claws anymore. We do have to worry about the other Get Lost in Brandon's hand getting rid of one of our lands, but if we're able to find a second threat, that winds up getting Get Lost instead, then we wind up having multiple ways to pressure Brandon from this point, who just plays a second Scrabbling Claws and passes the turn.
Yeah, it seems like both players have just been whiffing on creatures this entire time.
Oh,
but,
except that one.
Yeah, that's a big guy. That's the Unstoppable Slasher. And I think we're going to have to do the big 3-mana play of instantly force you to exile your entire graveyard and die to the Get Lost just to get rid of the Slasher for quite a while.
Yeah, that still won't be the worst thing in the world for Eric, though, as we mentioned, needing to find a creature, bait out that Get Lost, and then you're the one with the larger board presence and the larger amount of cards in hand. You can draw, activate your creature land, and pass the turn pretty much.
And frankly, kind of one of the best parts is that these Restless Cottages make food, which just stabilize your life total. Which can never complain about that 3 life when you're in top deck mode, 2 grindy decks going back and forth. It's always helpful. We are, interestingly enough, cracking a map on the Slasher.
And so I think it's just trying to bait out this Get Lost as quickly as possible.
You got 2 more maps. Trigger on the stack.
Yeah, and we are going to be exiling the entire graveyard with the trigger on the stacks. That way the Slasher cannot come back.
Yeah.
And yeah, we are cracking it. Bye-bye graveyard. Slasher is gone. And yeah, we have 3 maps total. Pretty good way to bait it out. And now both players are stuck with 1 card in hand, some lands, and some just dinky artifact tokens.
All right, so we also have this double volatile field from Brandon's side. So I'm sitting here saying like, oh yeah, these Witch's Cottages are great. They're not the best thing in the world because we have 2 Field of Ruin effects on the side of the battlefield for Brandon. He's just going to wind up drawing a card, playing a land, passing the turn, and I mean, we're just going to wind up playing draw go for a little bit, it looks like. But Eric Sanchez does have more cards in hand, so technically a little bit more advantage, but I don't know what these cards are.
Yeah, I think I saw a Bankbuster, which is definitely a really good card to have in this spot. If everyone's top decking, it's really good to have the card draw engine.
Oh yeah, this Bankbuster is... From Brandon's side, we saw it kind of being the thing that happened when we're slowing down the game state a little bit and more of like a grindy kind of section of the game. And it's going to be doing the exact same thing here for Eric this game, as this Reckoner Bankbuster is going to immediately draw a card as well.
Yeah, pretty smart. Playing a Mutavault here, so at least we have some pressure. But yeah, card draw versus pressure. I kind of like the card draw in this situation.
I mean, we can turn our card draw into pressure if we draw 2 more cards, so we got that going for us on Eric's side.
Yep.
Looks like just a quick little passing of the turn here after that Mutavault from Brandon. Eric draws a card and is now weighing their options.
I think that was another slasher in hand.
That's pretty solid.
Or are we tapping 4 here? This could be an Archfiend. This could be a Bloodletter. This could be a
That's a
Lung.
Bloodletter.
That is definitely a Bloodletter. I recognize that art. Oh boy, this. Unfortunately, Bloodletter cannot crew Reckoner Bankster, but it doesn't matter. This card's insanely powerful. We're gonna draw a card first, make sure that we can at least get that card advantage. See if there's anything else better that we want to play. But I think we are just gonna play this Bloodletter in just a moment here. And yep, tapping 4 mana, lots of black here. Bloodletter enters the stack, and oh boy.
Tell me about this one, Frenchie. It's got a lot of text on it.
I don't think it has that much text.
It's got a little bit of text on it. It has 3 black mana symbols, and that's where my eye immediately goes.
Yeah, but not that hard to cast when all of your lands in play produce black. And yeah, the big one here is if an opponent would lose life during your turn, they lose twice as much life instead. In particular, we saw Fountain Ports on Brandon's side, and that's going to be a bit extra painful if we try and hold it up for your opponent's turn to make a fish.
Oh, yeah. So Brandon now weighing their options in the face of a 2/4, in the face of a potential 4/4 Reckoner Bankbuster that can start swinging in next turn. We also have the ability to crack a map on the Bloodletter, and then it can crew our Bankbuster if we really want it to.
Very true, very true. That actually is probably the play I would be looking to make here, is just crack a map, try and make it big. But we also saw a Glissa come in, so maybe the Glissa is just gonna come in and be the one to crew the Bankbuster here, and we're just gonna try and make the Bloodletter a 3/3 just for damage.
Oh, sorry.
So we do have to tap mana to crack that map.
Yeah, very fair. I'm sure we're gonna keep that Cavern on Phyrexian up for our Glissa, even though I mean there isn't really any counter spells in white or red in this format. What Tybalt's Trickery got banned and Man's Eye doesn't exist.
Pretty much it. Looks like our camera is unfortunately stuttering a little bit again, so we are gonna quickly reactivate that one.
Yeah, sorry about that, folks. And it looks like we did get a 3/3 because we have another Glissa on top of our library. And I think Eric's valuing the card draw a bit more here instead of just tapping down the Glissa to be able to attack with the Bankbuster. But as I say that, we decide to just pass the turn. And boy, we're definitely having some issues with our camera. We'll definitely make sure we take care of it between rounds, but until then, we're just going to keep on trying to go ahead and fix it up. Looks like we've got a Magda off the top.
Keep up with the double amount of life being lost that Bloodletter of Aclazotz is throwing down on the battlefield.
Yeah, and there's a lot of dice. Now there's going to be a lot of treasure, and I think we have a Fatal Push coming out because I'm sure I would want to get rid of that. Oh, Tail Swipe, even better.
Yep.
Activate
We have a
Mutavault
response.
again. Oh, shit. Okay.
Cool. It looks like we are... Yeah, so we were trying to we were trying to Tail Swipe Magda before the Mutavault was activated to get a treasure, but we did end up reactivating it to get our treasure again, and now we are going to be killing a creature land.
Right, yeah, because we had to use that mana on something, so we might as well just use it on that, and we're on to getting a treasure. So we're actually getting dangerously close to Portal to Phyrexia. We're 2 treasures away, but Magda's on the stack dying. So we need to try to figure out something quick if we're Brandon to see if we can wind up finding 2 more treasures before things go away.
Yeah, he doesn't run any Convoke cards, does he?
I don't think so. That would be something, but I don't really... I mean, what is it? There's like a Wanderer's Attack or something. It's like a 4 damage, 2 and 1 white Convoke spell or something.
Yeah, it looks like we have... All right, yeah. So we're just gonna wrap up here. Let it resolve. We are gonna play a Claws off the top, and we're just cracking it right away to get our card draw because we just need a card. We need more action. All right.
And it looks like Brandon scoops it up. Doesn't have anything he can do there to really kind of come back from that board state. I mean, if we're taking a look at that right there, we had a Bloodletter of Aclazotz that was at least 3. We had the Reckoner Bankbuster that was an additional 4 damage right there. So we double all of that, and that's Xaxes right there. So Brandon not going to be able to bounce back from that one. Magda Treasures is not the one that we keep our eyes on here. Instead, it's going to be Eric Sanchez taking the match with his Obliterator-less Golgari Obliterator deck.